This is a video by Richpin. Today we're doing a front brake job on a Saturn S series. First thing you need to do is get your car up on jack stands, take the front tire wheel assembly off, and this is what you'll see. First thing we need to do is to compress the piston back in the caliper as much as we can before we remove the caliper. Get a screwdriver right in the window right here and pry outward on the caliper. Now the caliper bolts right here are different sizes, so if you mark one of the bolts you'll get it back in the right position. Now when you remove your caliper, take a wire and support it from the strut. Now remove the pads from the pad retainer. Sometimes they'll come out easy like this. Sometimes you have to give them a little tap. Next you want to remove the pad retainer slash caliper mount. It's held on by two 18mm bolts. Now we can remove the rotor. Now in some cases the rotor will be rusted on and you'll have to hammer it off. It likes to rust right in this area, so if it tends to rust on, use some penetrating oil in this area right here and then tap it off. Now we can install the rotor back in place. We can hold it on by a single lug nut here. Now we can put the caliper mount back in place. Now before you put your new pads on, make sure that this anti-rattle clip is in good shape. If it's pitted and it looks worn, replace it before you put your new pads on. Now you can put your new pads in place. Now on the outboard pad right here, you want to come in on a little bit of an angle, engage it into the clips. Next you want to take some special brake grease, put some on the back of the pads here. This will prevent any squealing. Now before you put your caliper on, you need to compress the piston back into its bore. You can use a C-clamp or a tool like this. and then make sure that the piston is all the way back in its bore. Next we can take the caliper, put it back into position. Now make sure the boots right here are underneath the caliper. Take some of that brake grease and lubricate your caliper pins here. Make sure it goes into that boot correctly. Now when you put the caliper on, pay close attention to the orientation of this hose right here. You want it just like this. Otherwise, if you reverse it, the tire can hit that hose. So make sure that that hose is just like that. Now we can remove the lug nut right here. Now we got one side done. Just repeat that on the second side, and before you're done, make sure that you pump your brakes before you let the car down, and that's all it takes to replacing the front brake pads on your Saturn S-Series.